President Biden officially announcing he's running for a second term. What will be the key factors to test his reelection campaign? Here with a deeper dive, Yahoo Finance's senior columnist Rick Newman, especially since, Rick, as we talked about yesterday, the poll numbers for both potential candidates are not fantastic.
Right. We know that the economy is going to be a huge issue for whether President Biden can get reelected. Obviously, inflation's been one of his big problems. We're going to talk a lot about that. My contention at this point is here's the one thing to really measure Biden's success on: Ukraine. Is Ukraine going to end up with something that looks like a victory, which you might define as Russian forces back to where they started before the 2022 invasion? I sure hope so. I mean, we've got 18 months here. Just to remind people, the United States has put about $80 billion into Ukraine at this point. This is a big investment for U.S. taxpayers. I've argued before that that's actually a good investment for the United States. What we are getting for that money is Ukraine is basically demolishing the Russian army with no need for American boots on the ground there. That's actually great for us. But let's produce something that looks like a good result here. 18 months. There's a lot more the United States can do in terms of types of weapons it provides, other types of support it provides. And there has been some criticism of President Biden that he has been too cautious, that he has not gone far enough, that he has led this coalition that is providing Ukraine enough not to lose, but not enough to win. And I think it's fair to say we should see something decisive within the next 18 months.
Even after the State of the Union, the messaging from Biden was that the job's not done, which kind of gave that tee up for what could be a 2024 presidential run. What would be the core campaigning point, you believe, from Biden coming forward? So his campaign theme is going to be finish the job. We heard that today in his campaign announcement. And he's talking about he still has a social welfare policy, set of policies, largely unfulfilled because he couldn't get a lot of those things, a new expanded child tax credit, things like that. He couldn't get those even through the Congress that Democrats controlled for 2 years. Tons of green energy activity. We've got billions in investment. We've got tougher standards for coming out of the EPA for power plant emissions. We've got tougher fuel efficiency standards.
But how is he going to finish the job if he couldn't get the job done on all of those agenda items with the Democratic Congress?
He got some of them done.
Right.
I mean, so, for example, he got the CHIPS Act done. That's a big subsidy for domestic manufacturing. He got all those green energy incentives in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, the badly named Inflation Reduction Act. So he got some of it done. And his point is, we got a long way to go. We got to get all these policies enacted, for one thing. Green energy transition. We saw President Obama try to put some of these things in place. He did, and President Trump came in and put them right back to where they were. So I think Biden's argument is we got some of this stuff passed through Congress. There's more, but we also need to now implement this. And instead of 4 years of what he would call progress, that the next guy could overturn if it's a Republican, let's see 8 years and get this really cemented.
Yahoo Finance's own Rick Newman breaking down all things the announcement out of the White House and President Biden. Thanks so much, Rick.
See you guys.